How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs podcast Postgame Live. I'm Ken Bykoff, and 77-3 is the final on a historic night at Memorial Stadium as the Hoosiers absolutely crushed Western Illinois to push Curt Cignetti to a 2-0 start in his first season at IU. Sig is just the fourth head coach at IU to win his first two games since World War II, and there's a lot to like about this game. Please do me a favor and let me know if you could hear me just fine. I think that's really going to be important here. I'm looking forward to getting over to your calls. But first and foremost, what I liked about this game, I liked the way the Hoosiers came out and absolutely ripped the Leathernecks in this one. 28 points in the first quarter. That's the first time Indiana scored 28 points in a quarter since the Rutgers game in 2015. They did that in the third quarter of the Rutgers game, a game they ended up losing 55-52. But this game, they came out, absolutely attacked Western Illinois, just absolutely rolled, and it was just a really great performance. 77 points is the most points the Hoosiers have ever scored in a game. 701 yards is the most yards ever picked up in a game. And consider this, folks. Indiana ran 68 plays and scored 77 points. That's more than a point a play tonight. And there is just so much to like about this game. Curtis Rourke, 15-17, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Taven Jackson, 3 of 3 for 104 yards and a touchdown when the game was already out of reach. You had a rushing attack that put up 323 yards. Justice Ellison, 9 carries, 117 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. You had Kobe Martin, 8 carries for 57 yards. Just the ball was able to be distributed around. A whole bunch. Elijah Surratt, he finishes with 6 catches for 137 yards and a touchdown, including a 71-yard score. Omar Cooper, 4 catches, 131 yards. Look, this is a game in which the Hoosiers, everybody knows exactly what kind of opponent Indiana was playing, but I've seen plenty of games like this where Indiana didn't come out and step on an opponent's neck, and they did just that. You can only beat the teams that are in front of you, and the Hoosiers just absolutely rolled in the very best way possible. The defense looked very solid. The Hoosiers did not have a lot of penalties. I think that was very important, to play clean, and the Hoosiers did just that. Just 2 penalties on the day for 25 yards. One of them was kicking the ball out of bounds. Indiana just continued to roll. The level of opponent has something to do with it, but the Hoosiers also got the job done in a way that we've seen them come up short here in the past. Now it's your time to call. 812-393-2600. The lines are open, and this is something I'm going to do for the podcast recording as well. I can't put up Curt Cignetti's press conference live, but if you want to catch that, this will be recorded and up in the morning. This is where you will get to hear Curt Cignetti during his postgame press conference. Now, I won't fill that whole time. I'll be able to edit that out for the recording, but the Hoosiers really did a fantastic job in this one of, again, getting off to a good start. They score 42 points in the first half, which it's been a long, long time since they have scored that many points in a half, let alone, the record-setting game, as they continued to pile it on as it went. And again, look, Western Illinois is not good at all, but they still, again, Indiana did a great job of just getting the job done, and it's really important that they got off to this good start. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our first caller of the night. Caller, if you could go ahead and tell me your name and where you're from. Western Illinois is not good at all, but they still, again, Indiana did a great job of just getting the job done. It's really important that they got off to this good start. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our first caller. Tell me your name and where you're from. I'm having trouble hearing the caller. This is a problem on my end. We'll go ahead and be able to fix that as soon as possible. Sorry about that, caller. I am working to figure out exactly what our problem is there, because it's kind of the whole thing. If you could just hold on for a second, I'll be sure to get you on as soon as I can. But I wanted to answer maybe a couple of questions here. The thing on one of our chat, the thing that really stands out to to Walnut 412, other than the number of points scored, is the competent game management and player fundamentals. Haven't seen that in these parts in a long time. And I completely agree with that being something that's fantastic, because it is a really great thing to be able to have that that kind of consistency that we're seeing, and I think that is going to be really important. Caller, if you could do me a favor, I'm going to reset the call so that we can get you on. If you could call me back in just a couple of minutes so that I can get this hooked up. I'm really sorry for the issue here. We'll be right back with the calls, but for right now, this is going to be again, this is one of those bugs that we have early on here. So I apologize for this. This is kind of working out the bugs that we have. So I really apologize. But the Hoosiers on a historic night. Somebody asked, did you have any surprises you liked tonight outside of the usual suspects? Really liked the way Kobe Martin ran and Taven Jackson looked significantly faster. And in my opinion, and I don't disagree with that. Both of those guys, again, you're looking at an opponent and how it is that things are going to work, in that way. Again, this is a team that is really just learning. I think that is it's learning along the way, and I think that it's super important for this team to get off to a very nice start and be able to have this all work. Now, hopefully we have something working here with the caller. Let me go ahead and give this a shot. Caller, go on ahead with your name and where you're from.
Hi, Ken. This is Brett from Indianapolis. How are you?
Real good, Brett. Now we can hear you. That's fantastic.
Great. Sorry for the earlier problem.
Nope. This is on my end.
Long-time listener. First of all, I'm to all my Peegs friends out there. I'm Brett from Indy, so happy to introduce myself to all my Peegs friends, or as my wife likes to call them, the friends I have to pay for. So,
Yeah.
At any rate, fantastic night tonight. Incredibly happy. I think this is the first time I've ever watched an IU football game without yelling at the TV and causing some level of domestic tranquility, or lack of domestic tranquility in the house. But of all the things tonight that happened, I think the one thing that really appealed to me was when Green scored the touchdown and came off the field. Granted, he's excited, and Signetti pulled him aside and said, "Hey, listen, act like you've done it before." And, of this day and age of NIL and transfer portals and everything, we forget that these are still kids, and sometimes they need the discipline. They need a role model, and we need to make sure that we're not letting them down. And that just cemented Signetti in my mind with his coaching here. And of all the things, that was the thing that stuck out to me tonight. So with that, I'm just completely happy, and thanks for taking my call.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And again, this I agree. I've liked everything that I have seen from Curt Signetti, and just the way that he's gone about everything. In what he does. He is a guy that is very no nonsense. He is very strong in what he does, and he's very businesslike, and I really like that for this program. I've talked before about how Tom Allen was very much, a rah-rah cheerleader kind of guy, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just different styles for different people. But I was really impressed with what I saw from this team and the way that it came out and the discipline and the development that you saw from week 1 to week 2. And again, it's the same thing that we talked about earlier. The opponent is what the opponent is. But boy, I got to tell you, to see this Indiana team come out and put up the kind of performance that it did, and for Curt Cignetti to continue to be very businesslike, treat everything like this is how it's supposed to be. He's building a culture that has been successful elsewhere, and he's hoping to bring it here to Bloomington. He's done a fantastic job with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this season will continue. The number 812-393-2600. Give us a call. Ross on the chat says real heroes in this game are Don and Buck. Having Buck back in the booth is awesome. If we need to funnel NIL money to keep Buck in the booth next season, we need to. I've always liked Buck. He's done a great job with what he's done, and he brings some fun to the game, to say the least. His dry humor, and I know that Buck and Fish are good friends, and it comes through. And I really enjoy listening to his insight too. And I know that he likes the way Curt Cignetti's going about things, and I think that's really important. Mike asks, thanks for keeping the show going. Any word on Bamba? Don't have any word on Bamba at this point, but he walking off the way he did, it didn't look like he looked like he was in a lot of pain, and that's a shame that's something that the Hoosiers are going to have to deal with him. But again, it is a challenge in these games because you want your team to be effective, and yet you don't want to lose starters. This is one of those games where you want to win easily, and don't suffer any injuries. And unfortunately, you did have a couple of injuries or an injury along the way. Something I should note, Donovan McCulley was held out of this game, which was something that we kind of expected after the shot to the head that he took last week. And when I asked Curt Cignetti about McCulley last Monday, his answer was that they were hoping to have him back soon. I don't really think that he was needed, and so there's no reason to bring him back. But you always want your veterans to get game reps as long as they can stay healthy. Ross also says, can someone send Truth a link to the show? I would love to hear from Truth. I would love to hear from Zane from Evansville. Love him as well. He's a guy that really brings a lot to the table, and I'm excited for people to call. And by the way, the lines are wide open right now. It is late, and I understand it's 11 o'clock. It is a little bit later than normal, but this is a show that will go as long as you guys want to stick on. As long as you have questions, I will come on. But the best part of this is talking to you on the phone. So please, 812-393-2600 is the number. Make your voice heard. Throw in a question in the chat. Whatever it is that you want to do. I want to hear from you. Question about what happened with the scoreboard, and we joked in the press box that Greg Campbell, one of the media guys, kicked the plug out of the wall. Don't know what happened. That was an odd situation, but I think that they rebooted it and was able to get it back up and running. But I always say that just when you think that you've seen everything that you possibly can at an IU game, that something new happens, and that's certainly what was the case with that. I've never seen the scoreboard go out. That was new. So you have that, and that is something I know Indiana doesn't want to have happen again. 812-393-2600. Please give me a call. Happy to hear from you. Thoughts on the crowd is another question in the chat, and I'll tell you this one. The crowd, look, it's Western Illinois, and I get it. You had the students actually filled up their section pretty good. I'd like to see them come into the stadium a little bit earlier. Being up as big as they were at halftime, people didn't stick around for this one either. You had the alumni side wasn't full. It's a Friday night, and I'm not wild about that, and I'm certain that played into it for a lot of fans. The people that were out there today, these are your diehard IU fans. And so the crowd wasn't huge, but they were loud and they were excited. And the people who got there, they got to see some history. And so when you have that, it's at least a nice night. And it was a really nice night out at Memorial Stadium. The games are going to get harder now going forward. The Hoosiers head to Los Angeles next week to take on UCLA before coming back for Charlotte. It won't be easier at any point in the season than it was tonight in a 77-3 win over Western Illinois. But this one was more understandable with the crowd in my eyes than it was with the last time that we had it when everybody left. That one was one that I wasn't thrilled with, but they did a great job of cheering on the team, and that's certainly a huge positive. 812-393-2600. Another call, another comment on our chat. Thoughts on Cherry being the fourth quarterback? I mean, that's not unexpected. You know, he's a guy that they wanted to give some different guys opportunities to play. So who goes in third, who goes in fourth, isn't really a big deal in a game like this. It's not something that anybody's going to get should read too much into. It was nice to get so many guys some game reps along the way. It was nice to see Mendoza come out and at least throw one. Alberto Mendoza come in and throw one. But this was really an important game, and just getting guys some game reps, plain and simple. Just get some guys some game reps, get them the opportunity to get out there and get some run, and not have to stress your starters too much. I still remember a game against Southern Illinois where Indiana won. I think it was 49-48 or it was 48-47, something like that, in a game that they should have dominated and didn't. I remember Indiana losing to Connecticut and Southern Illinois in back-to-back games as well. Western Illinois is not a very good competition, but you have to be able to play and defeat the team that you are in front of. And something that we need to talk about as well when it comes to this Hoosier team, haven't talked about the fact that they only gave up 3 points on the game and have only given up 10 points so far this season. Think about it. The Hoosiers have outscored their opponents 108-10 so far, and not top-notch opponents, obviously, but the Hoosiers did get 6 sacks, so they dominated with that. You had 6 pass breakups out of 12 incompletions. I think that's really, really important that the Hoosiers just enjoyed the confidence of an improved pass rush. I had a really nice game out of Aiden Fisher, who had 9 total tackles, 3 solo stops, half a tackle for loss. You had a defense that created some takeaways, which was really, really important because that's something that I know every team wants to get, and they got it. And that was critical, including an interception with a pick 6. So that's really fantastic to see everything that these Hoosiers are doing and building on is really great. Again, the competition's going to get a hell of a lot harder next week, but for now, they're in at least off to a 2-0 start. 812-393-2600. Lines are wide open, and I want to hear from you. Come on in and talk. Another thing about that defense, by the way, is you look at Western Illinois and the chunk plays that they had, Indiana gave up 1 rush of 10 or more yards. That's what chunk plays are: gains of 15-plus yards and runs of passes of 15-plus yards, rushing plays of 10-plus yards. They gave up 1 gain of 10 yards. In this one, I think they had 0 in the last game. Only had 2 chunk plays in the passing game. Gave up 46 total yards on 2 plays, 1 for 16 yards, 1 for 30 yards. Both of those came in the second quarter. This is an IU defense that isn't giving up big plays. Now, is Western Illinois the best competition? No. But the bottom line is you're not supposed to give up big plays against those teams, and the Hoosiers didn't. I mean, they give up 12 total rushing yards in this one, which I think was really important. 121 total yards on the day, 109 passing yards. 46 of those came on 2 plays. So that to me is a huge positive for this ball club. 812-393-2600. I'll keep answering questions so that we have here on the chat, but I want to hear from you guys. So please give me a call in. I really want to hear you. Mike, I appreciate you saying don't need to apologize for the startup glitches. First one I've done from my home studio. I decided not to do this one from the Memorial Stadium parking lot because it's dark, and being out there by myself in the dark didn't sound appealing. So this is the first one from my home studio. Plus, this week, I changed my microphones a little bit to try to make this a little bit smoother. And obviously, there were some bugs that needed to be worked out, so I do apologize by that. Ross asks, have me and Charlie the intern, who will probably be a guest on this show to have a few comments after the Charlotte game in a couple of weeks, asked if we experienced the new food options, any favorites, and how sad am I about Cafe Pizzeria closing. Interesting thing here, I haven't had any of the new food options at Memorial Stadium because I'm in the press box. Press box has had chicken tenders to eat for the last 2 games, so there's that. In terms of Cafe Pizzeria, I ate there once in my life. And the one time that I ate there was several years ago. It was fine, but I always go to other places. I'll go to Nick's. I'll go to Mother Bear's. I'll go to Buschetto's. A lot of other places that I go. Just didn't go to Cafe Pizzeria a lot, but I know a lot of people are sad about that closing, especially since it's a local business. That's a shame. Brett asks, Brett from India again, was it my imagination or did Taven Jackson look leaner and much quicker than last year when he was starting? I could see that a little bit. He certainly looks faster in comparison to Curtis Rourke, who is not a runner, and that's expected, but I do like the wrinkle that he brings to the game. One thing about that is I really want the Hoosiers to be able to have Taven run the same offense as Curtis Rourke, and I know that's something that they're really focused on. One of the issues for Indiana's offense, I believe, over the past couple of years is when a quarterback has gotten hurt. The Hoosiers have had to shift to a completely different offense to where it's more of a running attack, a more of a dual threat, as opposed to a starting quarterback who was more of a pocket passer. Rourke is no question a pocket passer, but I know that Taven can do both, and I think that it's really great. And I really think Taven's going to be able to learn from Curtis Rourke quite a bit, and that's going to it's quite a positive in my eyes. And so I think that that's really fantastic. And it was great to see him out there. I was a little surprised to see Curtis Rourke come out at the start of the second half and run one more possession. But, giving him the opportunity to go to halftime and then come back out and get back into the swing of things, I can understand that as well. Ross asks, have we had a married starting quarterback before? I would guess that we have. Certainly not in the time that I've been covering the team, but I know that Curtis and his wife Caroline got married I think back in February, and I've gotten to know Caroline a little bit, and great woman. It seems like a happy young family, and I certainly wish them the best. And that's why it's really exciting to see Curtis do as well as he has, too, because he has really looked sharp. And I like his ball placement where he throws it in a spot where somebody is going to be able to not only catch the ball, but be able to do something with it afterwards. And that, to me, is really important. And that is the epitome of accuracy. With that, the Hoosiers, by the way, they finished 19 of 21 as a team. That's come for 378 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a 90% completion rate. And I don't care who your opponent is. That's an impressive completion rate. And being able to complete 90% of your passes is not something you're going to see very often, but it is, again, one of those things that the Hoosiers have a quality running back room, a quality quarterback room, a quality receiving room. And again, regardless of who you're playing, being able to play at a very high level of efficiency in just the second game of the season, I think is really important to this team. 812-393-2600. Again, I am aware that it's a late night, so I'll keep answering questions, though, as long as you guys have them. I'm happy to do that. On the chat, what's the logic behind going out late to the West Coast next week? I don't really know. That to me, that's something that we'll find out more about when we get to the press conference Monday. Again, to me, it's not a big deal to get out there a little bit later. It's an interesting, just interesting situation to have to go out to UCLA and play a conference game out there. You know, you don't know what to expect. It's a Hoosier team that's gotten off to a good start, but will it continue? Next week is going to be the first test, to say the least. But to me, it's a really, really important game, because if you go out to UCLA and you turn in a good performance, you win the ball game, I think that that all of a sudden the narrative around the Hoosiers is going to change quite a bit. And I'm really excited for everything that the Hoosiers are going to be able to accomplish out there. It's going to be really important for them to get off to a good start and be able to get the job done at UCLA. And one of the great things about Curt Cignetti is, you know darn well that he is going to be making that a huge focus. Yeah, Indiana won 77-3, set a bunch of records, but he's going to make sure everybody stays grounded on this thing. And there's no question that is going to be a real focus of his going forward. 812-393-2600 is the number. Please give us a call. Want to hear from you, because that's the whole purpose of all of this is to hear from you guys. Really, really looking forward to it. Another question on the chat: what's the situation with Rourke's knee brace? He wears that. It's not uncommon for quarterbacks to wear a brace like that, especially on their front legs, so that it doesn't get rolled into while they're throwing. It doesn't limit his mobility really that much, because again, he's not a huge runner. So that's part of the equation as well, that he's not going to have that kind of problem. So I wouldn't worry about it. It feels protective more than anything else, and he's been impressive, and it hasn't seemed to have impacted his performance at all. Because right now you look at it with I'll go ahead and I'll pull up his stats and where he sits right now. Curtis Rourke in 2 games as the Hoosier quarterback, he is, at this point, let's see if they updated the stats. He's 30 of 41 for 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And honestly, guys, he hasn't come close to giving up an interception. I think that has been the key too. Looked very solid. You complete 73% of your passes. No one's going to be too unhappy with really anything that you do. Another question in the chat: do you think we'll see a Taven package this year? I think we can. I think that could be a wrinkle that is thrown in at some point. That you have with that. Curt Cignetti knows his system, and so playing with that, I think, is adding little wrinkles here and there, I think, is something that's going to happen. Mike Shanahan, I think, is also willing to get a little bit creative. It's just you don't want to bring in, have a package where a team knows what you're going to do, or knows, okay, this is going to change up a little bit. You need a little bit more consistency with that. So I think, we could see that, but we'll see. Brett asks if I'm curious if I might take on a co-host. You guys really seem to play off each other. Well, I agree with that. And that's certainly something that could happen in the future. This is a lot to be able to do by myself, and plus, you guys don't want to hear me ramble on. Just talking to myself. I want somebody else, but I also want to make sure that this is up and running and smooth as we can before I start bringing on guests, because I do want to do that. I had worked with Austin Render last year, had Austin Starr as a guest in the for the Purdue game last year. I've worked with the great Joe Smith, Greg Murray, Jeremy Gray. I like having a co-host. That's something that we're going to have, and something I'm looking forward to doing when I'm able to do this out in the parking lot, honestly, is to have some fans come and grab the microphone and sit down with me and chat up. I'm happy to do that as well. I want this to be a real interactive thing for everybody, and I think that's going to be a ton of fun. But yeah, I would love to be able to talk to somebody. This is in its early stages, and I fully intend to keep this going because I'm really happy with how last week went. Would love to have to hear from you on a phone call right now, but 812-393-2600 is the number. Another question. Love everything about Sig. He seems like an in control Bob Knight. What are your thoughts? Well, I think in the approach of being serious, he's like Bob Knight. I'll go that way. Signetti is not as funny as Bob Knight was, because again, I say serious, but then say that Knight was funny. Knight had a very interesting sense of humor, very dry sense of humor. We haven't seen a ton of personality from Curt Cignetti, which is not a knock on him at all. It's just that's how he seems to handle the media, and he's just kind of very businesslike. So I understand that as well. But it's very, very early in his tenure. There hasn't been any real adversity as of yet. But I do like the buy-in that I've seen from his players to this point. They are taking on the attitude of their head coach, of being a business-like. So in terms of that, I think is really important. We haven't had any real blow-ups from him. We haven't seen him really go after an official yet. But again, there hasn't really been a ton of adversity in the first two games. But I do like what I've seen from him. Somebody else on the chat asked, are there plans to have Peegs reporters on the show? We've actually talked about this, having Jared Kelly or Jeff Rabjohns or Matt Weaver give me a call or join me in the parking lot. They do their post-game stuff, obviously right after the game. And so I know last week they were able to be in the car and start driving home before this show was over. And yeah, I want to have them on. I'm open to everything. Just like our lines are wide open right now, because Lord knows, I think that this is a really great opportunity for us. And again, if it works well during football, we will take this on to basketball, and we could really have some fun with that. But again, it's 11:18 on a Friday night. I get it. Western Illinois' game was over at halftime, so I'm sure a lot of people were watching the Packers and what they did against the Eagles. Right now, it's happy news for this Bears fan right now. But this is going to be a fun season. I think it's going to be a really fun season overall. I'll tell you that it's in just learning with this show, but more importantly, this Indiana football team. There's a lot to like about what you've seen in the first couple of games. I'm excited to see what they do next week, just simply because UCLA is a challenge. It's a team that is an unknown for the Hoosiers. But then again, when you're talking about how many players, I think I saw a number, something like 51 new faces on this team. Everything is new, and everything is an unknown. And so, to a certain extent, for a lot of these players, there is no baggage when it comes to Indiana football, and there isn't with Curt Cignetti either. His thing is, we've turned the page on this. This is a different Indiana, and we want to show it off. That attitude certainly showed against Western Illinois. It showed last week in the 31-7 win that they had last Saturday at Memorial Stadium against Florida International. Again, Indiana outscoring opponents 108-10. I don't know that that's something that has really happened before, but it's a great start to the season, and it's just so much fun to see this program in this place. 812-393-2600. I will let this go for a few more minutes. If we don't get a call, we'll go ahead and shut it down. Here again, I'm willing to talk as long as you guys have questions, but ideally, you'll give me a call because people don't just need to hear me. On the chat, based on what I've seen, have you changed your prediction on total wins? I never made a prediction on total wins, so I haven't changed anything. And I want to see what Indiana does when it comes to playing a peer team, one that is on the same level. And UCLA obviously is going to be exactly that next week. That's going to be the real question: is what are you going to see from that ball club when they get an opportunity out there? And UCLA is a team that you really have to be, excited and be pumped up to play them, to be ready to take them on. And from what Curt Cignetti has shown us to this point, the Hoosiers are going to be just that, because the fear in a game like this one is always that the team is going to take them lightly, and they're not going to be able to focus to step on a neck and go from there. They did that against Western Illinois, and that's exactly what you wanted to see. We have a caller here, so when you hear the beep, caller, give me your name and who it is that and where you're from.
Hey, Ken, this is Scott from Alexandria.
Hi, Scott. What's your question?
Hey, quick question for you. Obviously, with the blowout, not a whole lot to get into, but did we switch who was kicking off during that game? I know our transfer that came in has been booting everything to the back of the end zone. All of a sudden, we winded up kicking to the 10 or 15. Was that a different kicker or just something different we were trying?
No, a couple of different guys kicked off today. That was part of it. And the wind kicked up in the second half a little bit as well. But yeah, it was there were a couple of different guys that kicked off, and so that is something that is going to be. I would expect that was more a situation where they were able to just get somebody some experience with that. So, thanks for the call. I see that some people are saying that the sound of the call is a little bit low. I will have that fixed next week. I can promise you that. But he was asking about two different guys kicking off. Again, these are the bugs that we gotta clear out, which is really important to be able to do. I'm just very, very excited about what I've seen from this ball club, and I think that it is just exciting. It's been a long time since we've seen a Hoosier ball club that has just so thoroughly dominated a team, and dominated a team that they honestly are supposed to dominate, but getting the job done, I think, is really important. Going to go just a couple more minutes here. 812-393. Hope to hear from you. But getting off to a 2-0 start, having a historic night, both in terms of points scored, in terms of offense, is really great to see. Indiana 6 of 8 when it comes to the red zone. They did a great job with that. Indiana 7 of 9 on third down. To me, it's really, really really important just how efficient this ball club is. Last question we'll take is from the chat. Buck mentioned how little special teams means anymore. Punting still is really important. Kickoffs, not so much. And, to me, if you're kicking the ball off, basically the only thing you could do is make a mistake. There's not a huge effort to pin teams back. Teams could it's rare to see a good kickoff. There's no question that there's an issue with that. Now, one thing is with the punting, though, is that does give you the opportunity to flip the field, and at the very least, Western Kentucky can go ahead and say that their punter, who was busy, he did a nice job. 9 punts, average 41.6. I thought it is really great that they did a nice job with that for Western Illinois. That's the one thing to take away. In terms of Indiana's return teams, I like the fact that we got to see a couple of returns, including a kickoff return that was returned for 32 yards by Van Horst. Very, very happy with that. But all in all, not a lot to pick at with this game. Just thrilled that Indiana's a 77-3 winner. Want to thank the 2 callers that we had. Thanks for all the questions on the chat. I think that's really critical as well. I know not everybody likes making a phone call or being there, but I appreciate it. Certainly, I promise you I will get the issue with hearing the caller this week fixed, because I already know how I'm going to fix it and use the system that I did next week, but I promise you that problem will be solved. 77-3 is your final. Somebody says, like Charlie the intern, it's past my bedtime, but can't remember a happier night after an IU game. Charlie went to bed right before we came on the air. He got to stay up a little bit late. So Charlie the intern, again, you'll hear from him in just a couple of weeks. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs postgame this week. I want to thank you for listening. I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time. But for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.